Hello YouTube, what's going on? Oscar here with a Flash tutorial. This tutorial is actually a request from one of my fans, and his name is Gary, and he wanted to see what my process was like for a Flash movie. So I'm going to guide you with 3 easy steps that will teach you or show you how I make my Flash movies. Step 1. You want to start with a storyboard. Every story starts with a storyboard. If you don't storyboard, you'll be lost while you're animating. And trust me, this has happened to me so many times because I see something in my head and when I start animating I do something else. So a storyboard would definitely keep you on track on what your first vision was, and if you want to make edits you can easily do it on the storyboard without having to animate. That will save you a lot of time, a lot of pain, and a lot of time and crying and pain. So when making your storyboard you want to keep 3 things in your mind. One is that I begin somewhere, 2 it has a middle, and 3 it has an end. Well, that's pretty obvious though, but it's how you present it. The intro usually introduces what the story will be about, maybe it just introduces a character or an idea. In the middle you kind of want to show like a conflict or a goal, and in the end you want to go with a conclusion. So on this story I'm going to keep it very basic for the tutorial's sake. I'm guessing this tutorial is going to be about 10 seconds long. Well, the animation of course, not the tutorial, impossible. But so here we have me, Oscar, and I see a rock and I look around to see if anybody else is around to see it or see me, because I want to go play with it and I don't want no one to think I'm stupid. Then I walk or run very weird towards it and grab it, and I'll pick it up and magically it'll just turn into a big rock and crush me. The end. See? Introduction shows Oscar, the character. The middle, he sees the rock, that's his goal. And the end, the rock crushes me. Step 2, my favorite part. Time to sketch out some characters. Well, in this case, one character. And the rock. So what I do here is very simple. I use a layer and I use it as a guide. When you use layers as guide, once you preview the movie, it won't show. Even though we don't need it, I'm kind of used to using it as a guide layer. I use the color blue and transparent, that's just my preference. You can use a solid color to do your sketching if you like. But I'm kind of used to the whole transparent thing, and it's kind of light on the eye, so when you start drawing over your sketches, makes it a little easier. I'm also using a tablet, so if you're using a mouse, it's not going to be as easy to sketch out a character. Some people are really good with the mouse. Me personally, not so much. I used to draw with the mouse, and if you check my animations back in 2012 and below, actually probably even as late as maybe November 2012. I'm not even sure when I started using a tablet, but I think it was late 2012. But you'll be able to see what I used to do with just a mouse. Okay, so after you're done with your sketch, the next step is to start building your character. In other words, start drawing on top of the sketch to make your final version of the character. So what I do is I start with a brand new layer and I draw out the whole character. I start from the top to bottom, especially with this character style. It's very simple, very basic. So once I get the head done, so what I do is that I prep it for animation and I turn it into a graphic clip, which allows me to draw multiple frames inside of a graphic clip, so that during animation I can simultaneously swap between different faces or different facial expressions. In more advanced animations, I do the same for the body, especially if the character is in a fight or in a battle and he has sustained pretty heavy damage and it's supposed to or it should show in the body. So I would draw it inside of the graphic clip so that when the time comes I can easily swap it without having to draw it later. Most of the time I do end up drawing it later, but I don't have to build a brand new graphic clip, I can just draw it inside. It is very handy to download this app called Keyframe Caddy, which makes it very easy to swap between frames inside of the graphic clips. You can do this manually by going into the properties and just putting the frame number, but you don't get a visual. Free Keyframe Caddy is not a free software. I believe I paid about $35 for it, but trust me, it's totally worth it, especially if you're doing lip sync. And lip sync could be very, very, very frustrating if you're like have to memorize your keyframes, and you have to go into the properties and change or play with numbers. So with Keyframe Caddy, you pretty much see the visuals, and you can just pretty much like click on the frame that's being displayed. You'll have like a small library of all the keyframes inside of the graphic clip, and it'll make it very easy for lip syncing and just swapping things within the animation to give you a faster, smoother experience while you're animating. Totally worth it. There's another software or add-on for Flash that kind of automates the mouse lip sync. I have used it in the past, but if I was to invest any money on any additional add-ons for Flash, I would just go with Keyframe Caddy, because even with the automated lip sync software that I have, you still have to kind of like tweak it manually, and it becomes a pain sometimes. So Keyframe Caddy is the one, the way to go. I don't remember the website. I could probably just do the research right now, and I'm pretty sure that if I did, it's on the description, so click that if you want to go download it. And if I don't put in the description, just type in Keyframe Caddy on Google and you'll find the website. Yeah. So after you're done prepping your characters, the next step is to set them on stage and get them ready for animation. Once your characters are on stage, once you have your character on stage, you want to make sure that it's completely ready for animation, which means that you have everything on the proper layer. So once you drag the body parts from the library, you want to just highlight everything and hit right click and hit distribute to layers. This will put each body part on a different layer. The reason why you want to do this is because this animation in particular is going to be tween, and if you have all of your body parts in one layer, the tween's not going to work. What's going to happen is that it's going to compact it all into one graphic clip, and it's going to move like it's being pushed by the Force from Star Wars or something. So you want to make sure you do it right, and you have every single part of the body, or every single body part, in a separate layer. And now that you have everything ready on the stage, the next and final step is to complete the animation. And yeah, I do say final step because we're only covering animation on this tutorial. That's not including video editing and sound editing. That could probably be a tutorial for another time, but animation only. And now, for the moment you have all been waiting for, the animation process. Please take your seat and enjoy this fine tune while I, fast forward this, because it's pretty long. after you're done animating frame by frame and keyframe by keyframe, the next and final step, finally, is to tween all the frames. Now, take notice that we have two types of tweens to use. We're using symbols and we're using shapes. The lines on the stick figure, well, the lines on the character are stick figure arms and legs, so those are shapes. You want to use shape tweens. And as you can see here, sometimes, well, most of the time, when you animate stick figures and shape tween them, their arms and legs, they tend to break as you go down the timeline. So there's a quick fix. What I'm doing here is that I'm using Command Shift H, and that's on a Mac. On a PC it will be Control Shift and H. That gives you a hint point. Make sure that you have the shape selected that you need to edit. It can't just be a random shape. It has to be, if it's the arm, it has to be the arm. If it's the leg, it has to be the leg. So make sure you have the right ones. This is all very complicated stuff. You need to probably check out my other tutorials. I have some tutorials where I explain shape tweening and whatnot, and I go in very deep detail about it. But here I guess you just get to look at it. So let's continue. Also, another really helpful tip: if you want to learn more advanced stuff about animation and more in detail techniques that you may need for animation purposes, you should definitely check out Jazza Studios. No. Well, that's his project channel, Draw with Jazza. He has amazing tutorials, and I myself have learned so much from watching his tutorials. He is a huge inspiration, and yeah, one of the reasons why I animate the way I do. I learned so much from him, and I definitely recommend you checking out his channel. He covers just about everything you need to know about 2D animation on Flash, so have a blast with that. And that, my friends, concludes this tutorial. This is the end product, and I know it could have been more fluid, the movements that is, but you know, since I wanted to take less time doing this tutorial or do a quick tutorial, I just went up in there and spent about an hour and a half working on it. So, which actually turned out to be about 10 minutes of your time. So that's not bad at all. You know, big world, lots of things to do. I know. You're probably skipping through the tutorial. That's pretty cool. But nevertheless, I hope you enjoyed the tutorial, and see you next time.